If you look at a map of China, you will start to notice a different kind of hotspot. Inner Mongolia, Xinjiang, and parts of Shandong. These regions aren't known for cattle or grain, but for raising ostriches. What was once a scattered small-scale activity has gradually moved into large, organized farming systems. Ostriches become part of a modern agricultural supply chain. So how did a desert bird turn into livestock? And how are ostriches raised today, from the farm to the dinner table? China's largest ostrich farms didn't emerge by chance. They are concentrated in Inner Mongolia, Xinjiang, and parts of Shandong regions defined by dry climates, sandy soil, and vast open land. This is terrain where rice and corn struggle, but where ostriches thrive. An adult ostrich requires roughly 30 to 40 square meters of space, not just to live, but to run. That movement builds muscle, regulates body heat, and directly affects meat quality. In this system, land isn't a passive backdrop. It's an active input. And this is only the starting point, because everything that follows eggs, chicks, and final yield depends on what happens here. Once the farm is in place, the entire system begins with the egg. A single ostrich egg weighs between 3 and 4 pounds, roughly the equivalent of 20 to 24 chicken eggs. And is protected by a shell nearly 0.16 inches thick. That toughness prevents cracking during handling, but it also makes incubation far more demanding. Timing matters. Eggs are collected within hours of being laid to avoid temperature shock and bacterial growth. Timing matters. Eggs are collected within hours of being laid to avoid temperature shock and bacterial growth. In ostrich farming, one damaged egg doesn't just mean one lost chick. It wipes out an entire production cycle before it even starts. This is where farming turns into risk management and the next stage begins. Once eggs leave the nest, biology gives way to precision. Ostrich eggs are placed in industrial incubators held at roughly 97 to 99 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity tightly controlled between 30 and 40%. Even small fluctuations can weaken embryo development inside the thick shell. To mimic natural nesting, each egg is rotated several times a day, preventing the embryo from settling unevenly. The incubation process lasts 42 to 46 days, demanding constant monitoring. At this scale, success isn't about producing more eggs. It's about repeating the same conditions, the same way, every single cycle without error. Hatching is only the beginning. Compared to chickens or turkeys, ostrich chicks are far less forgiving. A broiler chick can tolerate crowding and minor temperature swings. An ostrich chick cannot. In the first week, they are highly prone to leg deformities, cold stress, and moisture exposure. That's why they're raised in heated brooder barns with dry flooring, stable lighting, and finely ground starter feed. Conditions that would barely affect a turkey poult can permanently damage an ostrich chick. Across the industry, more than 70% of economic risk is concentrated in the first 30 days. Survive this window and the farm moves forward. Fail here and the entire production cycle collapses. Once ostrich chicks pass the critical early stage, the system shifts again. They're moved into semi-open paddocks designed to mirror natural conditions. Space becomes essential, allowing birds to run, turn, and build muscle through constant movement. Their diet expands to include grains, hay, and leafy greens, providing energy without excessive fat. Farmers track weight gain, walking balance, and feather quality as key health indicators. Unlike chickens or turkeys, ostriches don't rely on dense feed alone to grow. Much of their muscle develops through motion. At this stage, growth isn't forced. It's managed by setting the foundation for meat quality and long-term yield. At around 12 to 14 months, when an ostrich reaches roughly 220 to 300 pounds, the operation enters its most sensitive phase. This is where farming becomes food production and ethics matter. Birds are moved through low-stress handling systems, then rendered unconscious quickly and humanely. These final hours directly affect both meat texture and skin quality. Immediately after harvest, the focus shifts to the hide. Ostrich leather is prized for its distinctive follicle pattern, but even minor scratches can destroy its value. The skin is carefully removed, salted, and sent for tanning. In many operations, a single flawless hide can offset the entire cost of raising that bird, proving that value lies in precision, not scale. Once processed, ostrich meat moves through the system like premium red meat. Despite being a bird, it's deep red, naturally lean, and rich in iron. Cuts are separated into tenderloin, thigh, and back muscles handled more like steak than poultry. The meat is then vacuum sealed, frozen, and shipped to domestic and export markets, completing the journey from farm to table. Step back, and the model reveals its logic. Ostriches require less water, convert feed efficiently, and leave little waste behind. They thrive on dry, marginal land where cattle or pigs struggle. And as resources grow more limited, the future of agriculture may not depend on raising more animals, but on choosing the right species for the right land. Once processed, ostrich meat moves through the system like premium red meat. Despite being a bird, it's deep red, naturally lean, and rich in iron. Cuts are separated into tenderloin, thigh, and back muscles handled more like steak than poultry. The meat is then vacuum sealed, frozen, and shipped to domestic and export markets, completing the journey from farm to table. Step back, and the model reveals its logic. Ostriches require less water, convert feed efficiently, and leave little waste behind. They thrive on dry, marginal land where cattle or pigs struggle. And as resources grow more limited, the future of agriculture may not depend on raising more animals, but on choosing the right species for the right land.
Sun cracks over Valley Mills, Texas. 1,400-pound ostriches sprint 48th across 335 acres of Superior Ostrich Ranch. Maya Chen, 28, third-generation Tanner, checks her tablet. Bird ID 47, 11 months, 248 pounds. One ostrich can hit $2,500.00 total value, she says. But only if every gram is tracked. Ever wonder why a jacket costs more than a used car? Keep watching. Reggio Jr., 19, scans the tag and loads the trailer. Reggio Luis Ortega, USDA vet, locks trailer temp at 18 to 22 DGC, 50 birds, 12 per section max. Trip under 4 hours, Ortega says. Stress drops, hide grade, 5%. Rig rolls out $10 per bird. Four hours later, Dakota gates swing open. 500 birds hit the line daily. 70% of hides never make it. What happens next will blow your mind. Inside, patented rails glide birds forward. 80 psi air blasts feathers clean with no follicle damage. £2 per bird. Head to Supercar Detailing Kits, $50, 0 cents per pound. Maya lifts the first hide 16 square feet, crown worth 60%. Digital caliper reads 30 quills per square centimeter, grade A. One bird equals 100-pound meat, 16 SVFT hide, 2-pound feathers, $2,500, 0 cents potential. But 70% never see a jacket. The drums are spinning. Steel cylinders process 500 hides at once. Chromium CLT sulfate locks protein at pH 3.8. Worker tests every batch, 0.2 drift ruins softness. Split screen, old system 1000, 200 liters water per hide. New enzyme tech, 720 liters. Texas plants recycle 70% of every drop. Dye vats glow Hermes red. Staking machines hammer leather to 1M flat. UV lamp strobes are one wimmer. Scratch flashes red. $1,500, 0 cents. Skin crashes to $50, 0 cents scrap. Maya's jaw tightens. We can save 15%. Want to see the fix? Maya flips the switch and the grading line wakes up with a low buzz. She turns on the big 4K camera and splits the screen right down the middle, left side for before, right side for after, so everyone can watch the fix happen live. On the left sits a perfect patch of ostrich leather, packed with exactly 30 quills per square centimeter. That's grade A, worth a clean $1,500, 0 cents. On the right is the same piece, but a tiny 0.2 millimeter scratch cuts straight through it, circled in red like a warning. That little line just erased $1,450, 0 cents in value. The split screen isn't just to show it's Maya's live proof, a real-time X-ray of the problem and the solution. She fires up the AI scanner, tuned to catch anything 0.8 millimeters or bigger, and it races through 500 hides a day. Maya dials the UV light to 365 nanometers, and 98% of the floors light up instantly. Reginald Jr. taps his tablet, hide 4721B grade, sent to Buffin. This is a buy tip. Always ask for the QR grade report. Never trust full quill unless you see the quill density certificate. Maya slaps the label on the box. Inside sits one $20,000, 0 cents jacket back in the game. Seven days later, the restored hide lands in Manhattan. Ground ostrich hits the grill at $15, 0 cents a pound lean, just 1.5% fat. Feathers glide over supercars in detailing shops. Eggshells glow as $50, 0 cents designer lamps. One bird can feed 100 families and keep 500 Texas jobs rolling. Slap on a USA raised label and the price jumps 20%. The numbers are stacking up, and you can feel the final math closing in. Experience has been passed down. Keep it under 25 DGC or the quills crack. As the sun sets over the ranch, Maya, Reginald Jr. and Dr. Ortega huddle around a tablet to review the numbers and decide the next move. The dashboard lights up. Waste dropped from 70% in 2011 to 55% in 2025, while revenue per bird climbed from $1,800.00 to $2,500.00 gain per bird. AI and enzyme tech deliver a $700.00 gain per bird. An investment slide appears. An $80,000.00 AI upgrade saves $1,200,000.00 in waste yearly, 500 birds daily, 15% recovery, $1,500.00 each. Reginald Jr. reminds them, the 90S crash cost Dad $2 million. We cap growth at 18% a year. Maya asks, spend the 80 grand. Dr. Ortega answers, do it. Waste falls under 50% by 2026. Delay costs $400.00 K next year. Three green checks flash. The final plan is 60% revenue from meat, 40% from leather for stable cash flow. Process in Texas to keep an extra $600.00 per hide. Maya steps to camera. Measure every gram, adjust every process, reuse every stream. That's how one ostrich becomes $2,500.00 and a farm lasts generations. QR code flashes. Scan to see the USDA Ostrich Grading Guide. Do you support grading farms? Let us know in the comments. The sun dips below the horizon. Birds roam free across the Golden Plain. Comment your biggest takeaway below. Let's talk precision. The day begins when refrigerated trucks arrive from the Bullfrog farms of Guangxi and Jiangsu. The frogs, large American bullfrog stock raised specifically for meat and skin, travel alive in temperature-controlled tanks. Workers sort them by weight and size in seconds on automated belts. The selected frogs then enter sealed chambers bathed in soft blue light. Carbon dioxide fills the space, the frogs fall asleep instantly, and within moments the skin is removed in one complete piece. Fine salt showers down immediately to cure and preserve the raw skin. The salted skins move directly into the first soaking tanks, filled with warm enzyme solution. The enzymes dissolve surface fats and clean the inner layer without damaging the delicate collagen structure. A high-pressure water mist follows, so dense the entire room turns white for a full minute. Workers wipe each skin by hand with microfiber cloths to ensure no residue remains. The defatting drums come next. The skins rotate slowly while organic solvents pull out every trace of natural oil. Lime solution swells the fiber, opening the structure. A mild acid bath neutralizes the lime, and another enzyme drum softens and smooths the leather. By the end of this beam house stage, the skins are perfectly clean, uniformly thick, and ready for tanning. Large wooden drums now take over. They are filled with concentrated vegetable tannins extracted from quebracho and mimoso bark. The skins spend up to 48 hours tumbling gently, absorbing the tannins that will make them true leather. When the drum opens, the skins have turned a deep, even shade. They are rinsed, then sent through a second tanning cycle for added strength and suppleness. Pickling in mild salt and acid prepares the leather for dyeing. The dye room contains rows of rotating stainless drums. One drum holds midnight black, another deep burgundy, a third metallic bronze, a fourth jade green. Each batch is dyed separately, then over-dyed for multi-tone effects. The skins emerge saturated with color that reaches all the way through the fiber. Warm oil mixtures are massaged into the leather in the fapligering drums. This step replaces natural oils and gives the finished leather its legendary softness. Vacuum dryers remove excess moisture in minutes. A shaving machine then skims the flesh side until every skin is exactly 0.6 millimeters thick. Lasers scan for imperfections and measure every square centimeter. The dried colored leather is rolled lightly to set the final texture, some matte, some high gloss. Digital tables display the cutting patterns. CNC lasers cut the tiny skins into precise components for belts, card holders, mini bags and jackets. Even the smallest offcuts are collected and turned into key fobs or watch straps. The stitching floor runs like clockwork. Industrial machines with fine needles join the pieces at high speed. A single miniature crossbody bag may use 12 different colored panels, each seam hidden inside. Belts receive solid titanium buckles. Bomber jackets are assembled from 40 separate skins, the grain matched perfectly across every panel. Edges are beveled, sanded and painted by hand in multiple thin coats. Quality control is exhaustive. Samples are stretched to 30 kilograms without damage. Finished bags are soaked under running water. Droplets bead and roll off instantly. UV chambers test color fastness for hundreds of hours. Only pieces that pass every test receive the final embossed mark, guaranteeing vegetable tan Chinese bullfrog leather. Packing begins in a quiet, climate-controlled hall. Each item is wrapped in acid-free tissue, placed in a silk dust bag, then nestled inside a cedar box. The boxes are scanned, sealed, and loaded onto pallets. At dusk, the same refrigerated trucks that arrived with live frogs now depart carrying finished luxury goods bound for airports and high-end boutiques worldwide. Three weeks earlier, those trucks delivered living animals. Now they carry silent cedar boxes containing belts worth $1,200, miniature bags worth nearly $9,000, and jackets that retail for $28,000. $1 million frogs a year, 21 days each, and an ancient craft updated with modern precision turns a humble farm animal into some of the most expensive leather on Earth.